Hey everybody, it's Charlie and Chris here with Daily Motor, and we are here to show you how you can make the interior of your older Ford truck look and feel significantly better for, if you have a junkyard nearby, potentially less than $35, because that's what we are going to do here today. This, if you're not aware, is my 1999 Ford F-150 Super Duty with the 7.3 liter Power Stroke diesel. And it is a Lariat crew cab, so a very nice to be in model. This was the luxury truck back in the day. This
lots of beige.
Yes, lots of beige. Oh, well, it's medium prairie tan, actually, is what this is. And we had to know that for something you'll see here soon. This was a one-owner truck all the way up to 327,000 miles. So you know the individual who owned and purchased this new cared for it very, very well. But something that even he was not able to avoid was the deterioration of this medium prairie tan steering wheel. So you look inside, obviously, the driver's seat's got some cracks. It's been slid in and out of a lot, but you get inside here and you're like, oh, the plastic's in great shape. It's got a nice Pioneer head unit and everything. But this right in front of you, what you have to touch consistently while you're driving is old ring. It's like shaking the hand of like an 85-year-old man at church. It's just real. Yeah, just very loose, grabbable leather, and the dye is wore out. And as soon as I sent photos of this truck to my buddy Chris, he said, I can fix that for you. So you kept an eye out for steering wheels, and you were actually a bit of a steering wheel connoisseur for these trucks.
Yeah, I've taken a fair amount of them off, but I found one at the junkyard that had very nice tight leather.
Yeah.
Just needed a new dye job.
Right.
So.
And you said tans are some of the hardest steering wheels to find.
They are, yeah.
And a good one on eBay can cost, what, $150, $200 maybe even?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of them being ones that people have re-dyed because they don't really exist like in original condition.
Right.
Being pristine. So.
I mean, you got to remember this is a 25-year-old steering wheel at this point, so really not too bad shape, all things considering. And some people would probably be able to remove the steering wheel leather and re-upholster new leather, but that's probably going to cost you $150, $200 or so as well, time and labor.
Them very expensive. If you can just go to the junkyard, find one that has tight leather, you're able to re-dye it for however, I don't know how much you paid.
About $25.
$25, yeah.
And the reason that you have interacted with so many of these steering wheels is because they are particularly easy to remove.
They are very easy to remove.
Yeah, so we're going to show you guys that here in just a moment, and we're also going to show you the dye that we used and kind of the process we went through to dye the steering wheel. And the last thing I'll say is some people cover these with gross steering wheel covers, like you can see here. I don't know if it was the previous owner who put this on or if it was the dealership.
That's terrible.
Just trying to make it look better, but it's ribbed for his and her pleasure. And you can see it's created these awful ridges along the steering wheel. So having the updated steering wheel is really going to make this. Yeah, I really should. We should ceremoniously yeet it somewhere. But this is California and we'd be put in prison if we littered. Also, you will notice that my truck is missing floor mats right now, and that's because I had some beautiful floor mats in here from the truck, but I got stuck with this one time and tried to use the floor mats to get myself unstuck, and they were murdered in the process. So now I have recovery boards somewhere in there for if I get stuck, and we have some new floor mats here coming soon from Real Truck, so you'll see that here at some point in the video. Before we actually cut to how to put the steering wheel back on and swap them out, let's cut to some footage of the steering wheel that Chris acquired and us dyeing it with the seat dye from Seat Doctors. And mind you, this isn't sponsored. I actually purchased this stuff by Chris's recommendation. You actually go on their website and put in your VIN and your specific color code. Thank you. And ours is medium prairie tan for a Ford, and they sent this to us, and we dyed it up. So the instructions on here are very simple. It says clean area to be dyed. Use water-based leather cleaner to make sure area is free of contaminants. Chris already cleaned this quite thoroughly.
Did, yeah,
and then after that it says alcohol, denatured or isopropyl could be used to prep the area as well, but be careful, don't use too much because it can strip the leather. It can strip the finish of the leather. So Chris is just going to do a nice simple light rub on there. Make sure leather is fully dry before applying the dye. Shake bottle well before applications. Test dye on an inconspicuous area to make sure it's a good match. Probably not going to do that because
it probably won't. I don't know that this is like the exact tan, but it will be once we put that on.
Right, once we tan the whole thing, it's going to look the same. And then there's two methods. You can use the rub-on using a lint-free rag or paper towel. You rub a very thin layer of dye to the leather. Wait at least 20 minutes between coats. Or there's the paint sponge method. Use a foam paint sponge or cellulose sponge. Dab a thin layer the dye.
Do you have a sponge?
No, I was planning on using these.
Okay.
kind of like a spongy paper towel, sort of a combo. Or you could spray it with a pre-valve sprayer, but I certainly do not have one of those.
Pre-valve sprayer.
No. Okay, so I am going to go get a little tape so we can tape off these buttons. Chris is going to continue cleaning that. Yeah, this part looks so good.
I know.
Yeah. And then we are going to see what the Seat Doctor's Auto Interior First Aid die.
This is not sponsored either, so
yeah.
we're going to give you an honest review.
Right.
Not that we wouldn't have anyways.
Right. But no, this is there are some things that we aren't so cheap that we won't pay our own money for. And
how much was that? Like $20?
Yeah, only like $20-$25 shipped out here.
Which, to be fair, and why we're redying this kind of, rough-looking steering wheel is because these are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
These steering wheels, like a nice condition tan wheel off eBay, is like $200.
Yeah, I am not the most artistically gifted, but I am going to just use this lint-free rag or paper towel to rub a very thin layer of dye on the leather. And I'm gonna.
Is this lint-free?
It says or rag, or or paper towel.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start on the back and just kind of see how that goes. Crack this baby open. Sealed for your protection. Oh, and it is just a big old blobber here, no sort of precision application. I'm so nervous. Oh, it looks like a Frosty.
The Wendy's Frosty?
Yeah. What do you think a very thin layer is? You think that's a very thin layer, or is that too thin?
I don't know.
That actually looks like it's kind of working, right? I mean, you do have to do multiple layers, so...
Yeah.
But you're right, I'm kind of like wiping up quite a bit, aren't I?
Yeah.
I mean, it is changing the look of the wheel. It's making it uniform. Maybe I need to be rubbing like more aggressively, like really working it in. Rub in. It does say to rub in a very thin layer of the dye. So it's not simply painting it on. I think it needs to be worked in. Although, if you are using a sponge, then you dab.
Right.
But if you're using a paper towel or a lint-free rag,
it's going to be a
rub.
lot of this. Because see how this is sticking better than just rubbing it? Yeah, there you go.
I like the idea of like rubbing it in for like a coat or two and then sort of
dabbing.
dabbing afterward so that it's, real worked in.
It's looking better.
It is. If you're looking for a great activity to do with a friend, dye a steering wheel because...
I am very pleased with this.
Yeah,
Look at, this is the same wheel
Mm-hmm.
that you all saw 3 seconds ago. But
yes, we did forget to do any sort of cool time lapse as we were.
I thought about it when we were 90% done. I said we should have set up a time lapse.
Yeah.
But basically, what we did was we just dabbed on, I don't know, 4 or 5 coats on each side, probably. Let it dry. We've used a heat gun.
Kind of expedite the process.
Yep. And
But if you were doing something like watching a football game or something like that, you could kind of have it in front of you and wait the proper 20 minutes if you didn't want to, go around with a hairdryer or heat gun or anything and let it dry properly. And we would probably have gotten even better of a finish and coverage if it were like fully dry every time. But
I think it looks fantastic.
I think it looks really good too. And we both pointed out that we don't want it to look so good that it looks jarring in the interior of the truck because it is a 25-year-old interior.
We've used Q-tips for a couple sections, which wouldn't really be recommended, just because there are little kind of fibers and things in them. But
yeah,
when it
helps us get the little bits like right around the buttons and stuff.
So
yeah, we spent a little bit less time on the back side. I don't want to tip it over too long because I know there's some wet paint over there. So there's, arguably we could probably stand to do one more, but we probably won't.
Look at the back while you're driving, so
Right.
it's not that big of a deal.
Exactly.
But the front looks fantastic. So now all of you that watch Charlie's POV videos on the F-350, you no longer have to stare at a hideous steering wheel.
Yeah. So we're gonna. This paint requires 48 hours to fully cure, and then I'm gonna show you all how to replace the wheel on the truck, and then that should apply to any of that generation F-150.
97 to 03 F-150 or 2004 Heritage if you bought the 04 when so mainly 97 to 03, and then the Super Duties were I think 98
99
to 06.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Technically 07. You could get a few in 07 with the same.
See, why do they do that? Dodge. Okay.
Dodge is still selling the Ram
Yes.
Classic.
Very strange.
Yeah. Well,
Just
to be
'cause they
honest,
made too many parts.
well, your tooling is already set up and everything. And to be fair, wouldn't you kind of rather own an FCA product that had been ironed out for the last 15 years versus a new one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now that we have the wheel all ready to go, you can see it's been sitting here for a few weeks since Chris was last with us.
Get that out in the sun, maybe.
Yeah. Let's. Oh my, yeah, that's gonna look fantastic. In fact, will you get a?
Holy crap! Yeah, putting them next to each other is like.
So we've got these two, and yeah, that is a dramatic difference.
Honestly, it matches the seat.
Yeah, I really do think it's gonna go pretty well with the rest of the interior, because we were a bit worried that perhaps we made it look too good, and it's gonna make the rest of the interior look bad. But no, I think we're gonna be in good shape. So let's get started here, Chris. Walk us through what needs to be done for somebody to swap everything out.
Right. Well, first you need to disconnect the battery.
Right. We don't want explosions happening.
Yes, we're removing the airbag, so that's the most important thing.
And a lot of people do get very scared about swapping steering wheels because of the airbag.
Yeah.
But taking the battery out, that should solve most of the issue, right?
Yeah, you just disconnect the battery, let it sit for a little bit, and well, this has 2 batteries.
It does, so we're going to take both out.
Okay.
The reason the Power Stroke has 2 batteries is because this diesel motor takes so much power to start that they give you 2 batteries. Just 13mm socket. Undo battery number 1. Battery's disconnected, therefore we shouldn't have an explosion.
Right.
What are they going to need to know next?
So, 3 tools.
Okay.
First tool, very small flathead screwdriver. You need that to take off the 2 trim pieces on either side of the steering wheel.
Okay.
Once you have those off, you need an 8mm socket on a wrench or a
socket wrench?
ratchet. Yeah. And a T50 Torx.
Okay.
The end.
All right, so let's collect. How small are we talking for a flathead? Something like
the smallest one you have, like so tiny.
Well, those are
you
both
don't want
Phillips.
to damage any of the plastic.
What happened to my other How's this? Too
That's
big?
a little big.
Okay.
If you have one that's like that size, that would be great.
I definitely did. Okay, so we've got our small flathead. Now let's collect our 8mm. Now, is this something that's better to be deep or not really?
No, and you could use an extension if you want, but it's kind of easier to just get up in there.
Is it a lot of torque on it, or will a small one be fine? Even an 8, it's probably not a lot of torque.
That one should be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes they're tight, but usually you can get them off pretty easily.
All right, we're going to try a baby, and then if we need to
In
step
fact,
up, we'll tell you.
oftentimes it's one of those things where you get one good turn on it, and then you can just
Okay,
use
finger it.
your fingers for the rest of the way.
And now a T50, that's what many
That's
people
what-
are probably not going to have. Hopefully I have one. T50, there we go.
That's the one.
Okay, so we'll put that on a spanner as
You
well.
need an extendo for that too,
Okay,
because
thank you.
it has to go pretty deep in there.
All right, so like that one?
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
Here's what we got.
All your tools.
Our 8, our T50, and our flathead. Now, in we go.
Put our key in the ignition. Just turn it to the first position so that way we can rotate the steering wheel if we need to. Although I'm just realizing that the car is actually on the road and that there's friction.
Oh yeah, you're typically in the air for these.
Typically they're in the air, but it's okay. We still have enough movement to where we can kind of move this around. So you take your little flathead and you just gotta pop these little trim pieces off.
And you actually have to be gentle with this one because we'll be reusing it. You can't slaughter it like you would in the junkyard.
Well, we have new trim pieces on this one, so honestly, whatever. I mean, we can use these if you want.
Okay.
But these will reveal your 8mm that are in there.
So you see the use of the screwdriver to pop those off, and then they're really dark in there, but yep. Oh, okay. It's right back there. There and there is your 8mm.
Both trim pieces are off. So next step is just doing those 8mm, which I'll let you do in POE.
So I'm gonna take this. That might not be deep enough, actually. Let's see.
Yeah, you may need a little bit longer one.
Okay, I'm gonna find a little extendo for my 8mm or get an 8mm deep. In fact, I'll do this here. There we are. Okay, that was easier. Do it
Or upward.
barehanded,
Maybe what I meant.
and then you can put your wrench on.
Yeah.
Like Chris said, about half a turn, and all of a sudden we're very loose, and I'm just spinning it out by hand.
I can do this side if you want.
And there you are, little 8. So this is releasing our airbag, correct?
Yep, so these are out. So
Okay, we're gonna
I'll
save
let you,
those.
if you want to just jump in now, you can pull that airbag right out. But
Okay.
don't pull it out aggressively.
'Cause there's
a
gonna be-
couple of plugs,
right.
And you'll use the flathead for those.
Ooh, look at that. Very, very little effort.
So
It's a little heavy.
you've got 2 plugs.
Okay.
The first one you need to do is the top one. Usually what I do is I put the flathead in there.
Is it kind of right on,
I would go right under that little ridge there
right here?
and pop that up, and then this just pulls out.
Yeah,
Yep,
okay.
That's it. The next
All right.
one you can do with your fingers. It's the
Okay.
big black one, and you can just put your thumb on the bottom there. You don't need to mess with anything on the top. Just use your right hand.
Yeah.
And
it's
put your
this one?
thumb under it.
Oh, I see. Oh yeah. Just one of those pinch right there with your
That's
thumb. And there we go. This is our airbag. So we're gonna keep this. I wonder if this still works 25 years later. You know?
Probably does. I think airbags usually stay pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, so hang on to that.
Okay.
Let's actually stick it in here because it may need like re-dyeing. Kind of compare it. Yeah, it's a little faded.
Yeah.
So you could honestly, like, we can install it and everything.
I could dye it on
re-dye
there.
it while it's on the truck, but
Yeah.
the dye will go right on this material.
Okay.
And you can just, and it'll match the rest.
That's good to know. And I'll probably have to take some time and sort of use a little thing to get into the forward badge, because a newer one would probably have one of those forward badges that clicks in.
Yeah.
Remember you getting one of those for me for my 6L.
But it's honestly good that this doesn't, because you can literally just dye the whole thing.
Yep.
So.
Okay. All right, great. So now
we're gonna take the keys out.
Okay, because that'll lock it.
You want the steering wheel to be locked for that. And
just like this, right?
And yep. It's pretty tight. You got it.
That actually didn't take much effort, but I think I have seen Chris have to take a little more effort on there. I suppose an impact wrench could probably be used if you were so inclined.
Yeah.
All right, before we pull this off, we got one more cable to get here. Just kind of stick your finger in.
Yep.
Right there. Okay.
And we've got this on here straight, so make sure that's on there straight for when you when you take the.
Well, it isn't quite straight, but we should.
You should make that straight. Ah, there's the steering lock.
So that's a good thing, right? Or no?
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
Because you want that to be straight. Basically what I'm saying is you want
to put it
to
right.
make sure when you put the new one on, it's straight.
Okay. Well, now we're pretty darn straight.
So now at this point, you can use a steering wheel puller if you have one, and you have to get one of those sort of claw ones that looks like a claw, and it goes on here like this.
Okay.
And then you crank against it, or you can just wiggle it off.
All right.
Which is what we're going to try and do today. Which I can do if you'd like, but it looks like you already got it. Just be careful because it could like come back and nail you in the chest.
Sure.
You want me to get it?
No, I kind of want to like see for the view, like how
Okay.
it needs to be done here.
You got it.
Oh yeah, I got some
Go
wiggling.
slow.
All right,
Go
so
slow.
now because we want to make sure it's all lined
Now
up.
just slowly wiggle it off.
Okay.
And you want to be careful. You want to make sure that plug goes through that hole.
All right.
Because that's the clock spring there.
And there we are.
She's off.
Steering wheel removed. Hit me up. Email charlie@thedailymotor.com if you want an F-150 steering wheel with wrinkly old man hand leather.
If you'd like one to reupholster, though.
Yeah.
Good candidate.
Yeah, especially if you're just going to go with this wouldn't be black, I guess. But if you have maybe a tan steering wheel, you just need this part. Let me know.
Yeah, or if you just need the cruise control switches or something.
Yeah, that's true. These ones are more wore out, but you said I could paint that, right? With
Yeah,
some black.
I would literally just put Sharpie on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, new one.
Yes. Just chuck that into the environment.
Yeah.
So now I want to.
In a landfill somewhere.
Right. I'm gonna snake this back through and try to get this. I think that's probably where we were.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Oh wow, look at this. I feel like I'm in a new truck from 1999. Now we need to plug this back
plug
in.
the clock spring back in.
How many of these have you actually reinstalled yourself?
0.
Okay.
So this part is new for me.
Uh-huh.
I imagine you have to torque that. So let me look up. Unless you just want to ugga-dugga it.
Well, I know how tight it was before. Look up a torque spec, and I will probably just give it a good old college turn. 26 pound-feet is what we torqued that down to. Definitely. I assume most people working on a 99 F-350 in their driveway, well, I take it back. A lot of them might have torque specs and things like that. Okay, so the Torx is in. Now the airbag, right?
Yep.
Okay, we popped out our little bits in the back there, then we're gonna reach down here and get our 8mm bolts, along with our 8mm socket. Put that back in here.
Oh yeah, here, let me hold this up.
Hold it in place. It's a little tough to line this up because you can't see, so you sort of have to just blindly go for the hole here. This might be the hardest part of the entire job, is just...
Definitely.
You can sort of shine a flashlight up in there to give yourself a better view, and then that'll help, because now it's in. Make sure to hire somebody from Kith Beverly Hills to install your steering wheel on your 99 Super Duty. They're big on that. fact, I think there's a collab coming here soon.
Yeah.
Kith Power Stroke.
Yeah. That would be sick. I would buy the entire collection.
It is weird how there's this intersection between like kind of like grungy now and also like Gen Z, sort of like the Carhartts and being
like
in
the Bass
style.
Pro Shops.
Yep.
hats.
These just pop back in. All right, last step, make sure you hook your battery back up so you don't drive yourself crazy wondering why nothing's working in your truck. We probably look like we're just two unemployed, like young people.
I mean,
We're not, we're self-employed. Very big difference. But we're just like working on this 25-year-old truck in front of my condo in the middle of a work day.
okay. And in about 30 minutes, you can swap your steering wheel.
Yeah,
I
or
don't even think that took 30 minutes.
no, and that was with us stepping it out and being interrupted and everything.
Yeah.
So look at this.
Hey.
Horn works.
How's that feel?
Fantastic.
You know,
So much better.
I was saying off camera, this, you know, there's a bit of a contrast between this, but look at the dash and everything. It kind of works.
There is a
I can
lot of
understand
two-tone going on.
Obviously wanting to dye that.
Yeah, I think I probably will at some point here, but
Just take
no,
out
this
your buttons and
very nice job finding one that was such tight leather still. That's remarkable. Yeah. But you could even find one on eBay that just the leather is in decent shape, but even if it's very faded, pick yourself up a bottle of that stuff. It took us half an hour to an hour or so of just kind of casually, you could do it while you're watching football or something like that, just sort of dye your wheel, and then there you go, you got a new steering wheel. Thank you very much, sir, and thank you for the acquisition and the knowledge.
yeah, came all the way from Michigan.
Right, just to do this. Let us know if you have any questions, and also let's fast forward to sometime in the next few hours when my new Husky floor liners come. Throw those in, and we'll take one final look at the cabin all cleaned up with the new wheel. One road trip to Death Valley National Park and back with the all-new steering wheel. Still looking and feeling nice. It's honestly felt a little bit better after I've gotten a little bit of my hand oils rubbed into it. I've just been so impressed and happy with how it's turned out. And yeah, thanks again to Chris for helping with this and helping make the Super Duty feel young again. And speaking of young, we've been comparing it to the new Super Duty over there. Having a good time here today. And also keeping the floor carpet clean now with the Husky floor liners from Real Truck. I've got those in the front and in the back, fitting nicely in. You can pick up a pair on your own from Real Truck as well. So check the link below for those. And I should also point out that we've got some new Bilstein 4600 shocks that have been helping the truck ride well as well. Those were from Real Truck too. Everything got shipped out in a few days. Yeah, I am liking the Super Duty more and more with everything we're doing to it. So if you own a first generation Super Duty or an older F-150, do yourself a favor, rehab your steering wheel, pick one up from a junkyard cheap or eBay or something, and you can dye it and really just set off the interior of your truck so much better and just make it a nicer place to be in when you're touching the wheel. I mean, it's something that you touch every single time you drive your truck, so you should have it be nice, and that's how to do it. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the truck, check the link below, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, Ford truck wheels on.